You can't go show them like a lot of us sell real estate. We show them 50 houses. Listen, this is a rental. This is not their biggest investment they're going to ever make. This is a lease. I'm going to show you 3 properties and then I'm going to move on because I'm putting you in my car. Then I could go to put my name down and give you a list. But I closed the deal. I listened to what they're telling me. I knew all my inventory and the apartments that I had to deal with that would pay me. And then I'd take them to it. And then I'd have them signing the lease, doing their paperwork right there on the spot because they've got to do the application. Your name has to be on the application or they will not pay you. I learned that the hard way.
Today is a very great day. We have Myra Oliver on the line with us. Yes, that's right, on the line. She's on the line with us here. And we are talking today about the New Agent podcast. And we're going to learn a little bit more about what Myra has done and where she's at and how she started and where it's taken her. So Myra, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you got started and where you're out of and a little bit of like who you are.
Thanks, Brad, so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on your podcast. And I love new agents. I love helping them get everything they want in this career because, this was my second career. And I got in real estate after being a hairstylist. And I live in Denton, Texas, which is right outside of Dallas. It's north of Dallas, going towards Oklahoma. And I got my real estate license because I got bored. My first career, I was able to retire at 33. I became financially free at 33. So I decided I bought real estate. Before I even got my license, I had accumulated 10 rental properties and got my real estate license after the fact. So I wanted to buy rentals because I knew that would be a way to be financially free and have a passive income. And I wanted to get my husband out of the police department. So he was a policeman. And that my goal was to get him out of the police department. So we worked really hard in our 20s and up to 33. And then I sold my hair salon and we kind of retired. And then 3 years later, I got my real estate license.
Okay. So you were had a different career, then came into real estate and started out at 33. And tell us a little bit more about, so you were in the same area that you grew up in, or it was a different area, or is this all new to you?
No, I am a Kentucky girl. I am a proud Kentucky colonel. I love the great state of Kentucky. So I'm actually from Campbellsville, Kentucky. And I moved to Texas right after high school. When I graduated high school, I moved to Texas. My grandmother was a hairstylist, so I always wanted to be a hairstylist. I sat in her hair salon and I watched her make people feel great. And I thought, oh my goodness, I want to do that. And so I got my license, and that's my God-given talent is doing hair. And so I did hair for 13 years. And during that time, I bought my first rental property at 20 years old, Brad, and I still own that house. I paid $35,000 for that house, and that's the house that just keeps on giving. So it's rented for $1,200 a month. It's paid for. Here we are 30-something years later, and I still own that house. So that's what got me started in real estate. Is I realized that that's a great way to change the trajectory of my life, because I was doing $5 haircuts, and I knew I was never going to be wealthy. Just doing $5 haircuts and perms and highlights. And so I decided that I was just going to save my money. So I started saving my money and buying rental properties. And that was the smartest thing I could have done. Is we built up to where we wanted to make $5,000 a month so my husband could quit the police department. And we did that. It took us 13 years. And then I took a 3-year sabbatical. and just managed those properties and decided I'm going to get my real estate license. So I was 35, 36 and got my real estate license. Of course, that was 9/11. So it wasn't a good time to get your real estate license. So people talk all the time about, oh, well, it might not be the time to get your real estate license. Every time is the time to get your real estate license. Because what I love about real estate is real estate allows you to decide what you're worth. I have a high school education, Brad, and I could have allowed that to hold me back, but I didn't. I got my real estate license and just started there. I didn't know anyone. We moved at that time. We lived in Carrollton. My business was in Carrollton, which is about 30 minutes away from where we are now. And we moved to Denton, Texas, and I didn't know anybody. And here I am, brand new realtor. I don't know anybody, and let's go.
So how now that you're in this new location, nobody you know, and you're going to start building a business, and we'll get to the end here about how big that business got. But so how did you start out with that? How did you start building?
Yeah, so I'm kind of one of these people that I'm gonna figure it out, but I have to fail. Okay, I mean I'm the queen of failure, so I tried all kinds of stuff, and what I found is that whoever talks to the most people wins the game of real estate. Bottom line. So I decided, okay, so here I've got pockets full of gold, meaning I'm going to be a great realtor, and I just need to get out there and give out the gold, which means my business cards. So I just started going to Walmart, Target, Lowe's. Every day I handed out 10 of my business cards. And because I understood the rental business, because at this time I'd been in the rental business for 15 years, so I was an expert pretty much on rentals. So I decided I'm going to start renting properties, and then I can start a database. I can put all those people in a database, and then I will now know people. So instead of doing the normal apartment locating where you do it all on the phone, right? And you just refer them to places and they write your name down. That's how that works in apartment locating. I started putting people in my car. I went to all the apartment complex. Remember, I know no one. Introduced myself to the managers. At the time, a lot of the properties were full and people were still coming in off the streets. So what they would do is hand out my cards and go, hey, we don't have any apartments, but this girl's an apartment locator. You should call her. Maybe she can find you something. So I had all these people in Denton working for me, giving out my cards. Meanwhile, when they sent me a deal, I would give them a $50 gift card for referring that person.
Wow.
It was beautiful. Mind-blowing. And what it did is within first year, I rented 248 units, did not sell a single house. I made $120,000 selling real estate or leasing real estate my first year. I took all of those people, I put them in a database. I pretty much knew their credit because I knew which complexes did big credit checks or small credit checks. So then I started sending them postcards to tell them, hey, you know how hard I work to rent you a house or an apartment. Can you imagine what I'll do to sell you one? And it started happening. The next year, my second year in real estate, I sold 20 properties. And then by my fifth year in real estate, I was selling over 100 properties a year by myself and doing a blowout business. It was incredible. I had become the #1 agent, individual agent in my town.
Wow. Now you just went from 0 to 100 that fast based off of the work that you put in to build your database. And I've been doing this 20 years and I've not ever heard anybody say that's how they built their career. That is amazing. So
and it's a lot of work. So if you don't have the energy, don't do it. Right? You can't do it. Here's the thing about real estate. You've got to be willing to do what others won't to have what others don't have. And what it did for me, it allowed me unlimited income because every day I made a decision by how many people I approached or talked to. I made a decision on what my future would look like. And I think I'm one of these people, I took it very seriously. I don't do anything halfway. I think you know me pretty well to know, because you know the rest of the story.
Right.
That I mean, I just went for it. And keep in mind, every time I rented a property, $50 of that was an expense that would go to whoever referred them, because my whole business was built on apartment managers and leasing agents referring business to me. Okay. And so I always owed them, and I had to keep up with that and be good about it. I mean, I had one girl, literally, I was giving her anywhere from 5 to 10 $50 gift cards a month. So it was like an extra income for her. I was her side hustle. And it came natural because she didn't have, maybe they walked in and they didn't have any 2-bedroom units. So she didn't get in trouble for not renting them something. Normally she just let them walk back out the door. I gave them options. I fixed something that they had a need for, because they didn't want them to walk back out the door empty-handed. Now they look like they were heroes by referring somebody that could help them possibly. So I met the need. And, and most of them back then, the rents were $800 to $1,000 to a 3-bedroom was about $1,200. And here we pay 50% of the rent. So if the rent's $1,000, then I got $500. I spent maybe an hour to 2 hours with those people. I asked great questions, because you got to ask great questions. You can't go show them like, a lot of us sell real estate. We show them 50 houses. Listen, this is a rental. This is not their biggest investment they're going to ever make. This is a lease. I'm going to show you 3 properties, and then I'm going to move on, because I'm putting you in my car. Then I could go to put my name down and give you a list. But I closed the deal. I listened to what they're telling me. I knew all my inventory and the apartments that I had to deal with that would pay me. And then I'd take them to it, and then I'd have them signing the lease, doing their paperwork right there on the spot, because they've got to do the application. Your name has to be on the application or they will not pay you. I learned that the hard way. Okay. And so that's how I got it done, Brad.
That is amazing. Now you're bringing up something. So let's talk a little bit. Today's market is shifting to where there are becoming these newer projects that are out there, and there's newer, bigger buildings that are out there. Is this still a thing that's going on today? And do you see an opportunity for this to pop back up again, where this is a good place to start building a business, especially if you're a new agent and you're looking to do that?
It's a great opportunity. And we have our own network, just like there's an MLS. There's also a rental property network, okay? And a lot of people don't know how all this works because there's not a ton of money in it, okay? For a brokerage, there's really not a ton of money in it, right? But for an individual agent to get started, you can go on the MLS, and usually on the MLS, they pay 30% and you're protected. Keep in mind, you have to understand what the MLS does. So the MLS is a broker-to-broker agreement that the brokers will pay each other, right? Because the listing agent procures the commission, and then they go on MLS and they offer the buyer's agent a percentage of it. So what happens with rentals is that you cannot get paid, because we don't have a broker-to-broker agreement, right? Because unless it's on MLS. So there is another network, an apartment locating network, which you have to be a member of. And there are some stuff. And if anybody's interested, they can get a hold of me, especially, my agents in Northern Kentucky. Because there is some stuff you've got to do ahead of time, because I will tell you, I had to take several apartment complexes to small claims courts to get paid.
Oh, wow.
But that was only maybe 10% of my business that I had to fight for my commissions. But we have to fight for commissions a lot of times selling real estate too. Okay. So it's just part of it. And when you're aligned with the right people and the hoops to jump through, then it's never a problem, right? But I had to fail forward. Remember, I'm doing this on my own, don't have a clue. My broker had never done it, didn't have a clue. So I had to learn how to do it. I also had to learn that I had to invoice. you have to do invoices for those leases. So if they don't get an invoice, they don't pay. So there's just some
That's
little
very true.
nuances that go with that. And but it's a great starter to get to what you want, which is ultimately the most money made is in sales.
Right. Right. Now, you talked about how you started off and you had no contacts and nothing. Would there be a different approach, a thing that you would do as an agent if you had this was your hometown, you lived here, you grew up there? What would be
Absolutely.
what would be approach that you would maybe potentially do with that?
Well, the thing about real estate is that you've got to get your name out there. Okay, you've got
Hmm.
to. And there's a lot of people that don't like social media. I'm one of them, but I
Okay.
realize that it is the wave of the future. And we've got 5 generations buying and selling houses. And you've got to relate to all the people, right? And so
Hmm.
I would tell you that a new agent, if you have got first of all, sit down and work on your database. That's number one. You got your license today? Well, this afternoon, we're going to sit down and we're going to go through and we're going to make a list of everybody we know. We're going to check our social media, go through them. Who do you really know that know your name, know who you're married to, know where you went to high school? I would sit down and yes, there are a lot of realtors that we all know the same people. But here's the deal. These are people's largest investments and they have a right to choose. And just because you sold, another agent has sold them 3 or 4 houses does not mean that's who they want to keep going with, because we
Right.
become a little lax. We assume and don't ever assume. Because when you
Right.
assume somebody's going to use you because they used you last time, that's when they don't use you because you're not taking
Hmm.
care of business. So how you win the game of real estate is that you make your whole list and start your database, and then you got to start dripping on them. And your drip can be several things. I'm old school. I love postcards. And yes, they get the postcard in the mail and they go, oh, Myra's selling real estate to the trash can. But what they did do is they go, Myra's selling real estate. And the whole game is you want, when they think real estate, they think Myra Oliver or they think your name. And so still to this day in Denton, Texas, I haven't physically gone and shown a house since 2011. But guess what?
Hmm.
My partner does, and they get that postcard and they go, Myra's still selling real estate. And that is what you want to create. You want to create an environment when they think real estate, they think you. And let's say you've been an engineer, or let's say that, you ran another business, maybe you have a plumbing company, and you've got to treat real estate the same way. They can't still think of you as the plumber or as an engineer. They have to think of you as a real estate agent. So how do you do that? You do that through posting, through contacting, through calling them, and you've got to get belly to belly. This is a belly to belly business, and we've gotten to where we think we could do everything on social media, but no, you need to go knock doors. You need to get in front of people. I was just coaching somebody yesterday who told me they went out and knocked on doors for the first time and got a $850,000 listing. And it went in contract immediately. And they said, and then they got to sell them something. And I said, so was it worth those 3 hours that you knocked on doors? And they said, absolutely. And they're in Kentucky. And so there
Right.
you go. And so knocking on doors, people are answering the doors. So get out there and decide, are you going to do this business? Are you going to halfway do it? Are you going to do it? There's a decision to be made. And
Hmm.
either make it happen or sit and wait for it to happen. It ain't going to happen. You can treat this like a hobby and it's going to cost you money, or you can go drive this thing and you can make as much money as you want to make. That's where it is.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And your career. So it's very true. So much about how much you get in is what you get back out. And if you're watching this, you can tell she's got the energy and she put into this and she got out of this. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you got out of this and where you're sitting right now?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk a little bit in a second about the big passion project. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I like too.
Okay, well, sure. So after succeeding as a realtor, but I also became the president of my board of realtors. So in 2009,
Okay.
when the market absolutely collapsed, I became the
Hmm.
president of the realtors, and our board of realtors went in half. So I share that because we lost all the part-timers and spare timers. When the market shifts, you lose the people that can't afford to pay their MLS dues, and that's okay. So
Hmm.
don't be a statistic, new agents, because 8 out of 10 first-year realtors don't make it. And the reason they don't make it is they treat this like a hobby or a part-time job. And honestly, it's okay to be a part-time job when you first get on, but you got to launch it. If you never launch,
Right.
you never launch. And so I share that because it's important that you listen to podcasts like Brad, you listen to people who have been before you. And so in 09, I pretty much decided I wanted to retire again. I was tired I was selling over 100 homes a year. I was the president of the board. I was also going up in leadership at the Texas Association of Realtors. I ended up being the chairman for the host state for RPAC. I am now a Hall of Fame member for National Association of Realtors. And I say all that because this is all volunteer. So you need to volunteer to get in front of your peers so that because they sent me business like you wouldn't believe all across the state of Texas. When you say Denton, Texas, like Myra Oliver, because I gave my time. And and
Right.
who else would you want but a servant heart that gives their time for volunteering? You're going to send them referrals. So you got to build and be around your peers because they're paying attention. Because if it's
Hmm.
just about you selling real estate, you're going to lose a lot of people sending you referrals because people want to help people that help them. And when you're helping RPAC, so Kentucky, your KPAC, y'all need to all be contributing because that is fighting for private property rights. And that's what we do as real estate agents. So I had to get my plug on RPAC because it's
There we
important.
go.
And so I decided, okay, I'm going to retire again because I like retiring. I mean, I became a millionaire, Brad, at 33, and it was from saving my
Mhm.
money and living within my means and buying rental property. And with appreciation of rental property, it made me a millionaire. So
Right.
I decided I'm tired of working hard because real estate agents work really hard and you do a lot of delayed gratification. We go and we promote and we get our name out there to hopefully sell some real estate, right? And a lot of times we show 20, 30 properties and never sell a house, right? And then we find out they go buy for sale by owner. It happens. I love to give the good, bad, and ugly, right? And but we don't like delayed gratification and stuff. So that's what made me launch Down Home Money. But in 2011, Jimmy McKissick called me, who is the regional owner of the Ohio Valley for Keller Williams, and wanted me to come run his Keller Williams office in Denton. They were my number one competitor. Me and Brad McKissick went against each other all the time. And so he decided, okay, let's go get this girl, let her run my office. She ran the board of realtors for free. She can come over and run my office. And I became a team leader. I thought, well,
Okay.
that's another challenge I haven't done yet, right? I'd never worked for
Hmm.
anybody in my life. I'd always been self-employed, besides McDonald's when I was in high school. And it's like, okay, let's try this. And I ran his office. We were able to double his office. I made my deal on the front end that I would have ownership in that office if I would perform. And we were able to double the office within 2 years. And I became an owner in that office. And then Linda came to me. She goes, I want you to come run my region in Ohio Valley. You're from Kentucky. Get to see your mama. And so it was a
Right.
way to get back and forth to see my mom, to be really honest and
Hmm.
transparent, because I didn't know anything about running a region or opening offices. I didn't have a clue, but I love the idea of learning something new. I'm a student. I love learning. So I was like, well, okay. So I came to Ohio Valley as the regional director for Keller Williams in 2016. We went from being in 2014, I came. Took me a couple of years to learn the process and learn what's going on. And by 2016, we finished in the top 5 of regions for profitability for our offices, which was really important for me because I saw a lot of offices that were struggling and just hadn't really launched. And I wanted them to launch and to have success. And so we just implemented a lot of new things. And so that was pretty exciting to win the awards from the region. Our region had always finished in the back of the pack. And so that was exciting. So by 2018, I'd done my thing. Once I win, I kind of like, I'm moving on, right? I'm not a good manager. I'm a good launcher. I like starting stuff and building. So other than that,
Oh no.
did it stop?
It stopped for just a second. So
It's saying my internet is unstable. Let me look at my internet real quick here. Okay, I'm on my 5G. We good?
I lost you for a second there when you were going through. You like to launch things, and after you launch them, yeah.
So I love to launch stuff. I don't like to manage anything. Okay. So I love growing stuff, and then I get out when I'm on top. I got out of real estate on top. I got out of team leader on top. Same thing with the region. And then I had 3 offices. So I had an office in Columbus, my office in Northern Kentucky, and the office in Denton. And I decided then, okay, I'm going down to one office, and I chose Kentucky because I took Kentucky from the worst performing in the region to being number 1. And it took us about 5 years. And I did it with the exact same staff that we had when it was lagging. Because what I found is that people will do, when you empower people to do what their talents are and get out of their way, big things can happen. But you still got to provide accountability. And so, with Nick and Ashley, we were able to take it to the next level. And so it was super exciting. So now I'm down to one office, and I'm really moving towards my passion project. Because once I win, I'm like, okay, what can I do next and try to win?
Right.
And that is Down Home Money, a simple approach to financial freedom. During COVID, I decided that I'd always had a goal of writing a book. And I wanted to tell my story because I have a high school education, and it's from Kentucky, one of the best. But there's nothing special about me, Brad. And but I will tell you this: the 2 things I saw one of your questionnaires about what are my 2 resources. Mine are grit and gumption, and those are my resources that are deep down inside of me. And I am gritty as all get out. I love when somebody tells me, no, you can't do something, because all that means to me is KNOW. I don't know enough to get to where I want to be, but I love it when you tell me no. Because when you tell me no, there is a fire that burns up inside of me, and you can't teach that.
Right. That is not teachable. You can't. That's the one thing that I've found out through my career is that you cannot teach drive. That is something that is, it is inherent, and you have it, and you cannot teach it. It is something that is just very, and you obviously have it. So when you got to this point now, you're getting to your passion project, and I just watch you light up about this because you wrote the book during COVID, and then you talk a little bit about the underlying preface of the book and what you're teaching in that book, because it's definitely been a great read.
Well, what I find is, and just from coaching a lot of realtors, we do have the ability. The sky's the limit on our income, right? And I watch a lot of realtors make a lot of money. And I've also watched a lot of people get lifestyle creep. So as they're making more money, their lifestyle creeps up with it. And so they really don't, it doesn't come to their bottom line of their net worth, because they get to where they're buying more expensive cars, they're buying bigger houses. So their income keeps rising. And if they would save some of that or buy assets, their lifestyle could be unbelievable at a later date. And I've mastered that. I have mastered, you can have great things. Okay. I have a beautiful home. I have a lot of but all my stuff's paid for because I don't believe in debt. And what I find is their debt levels keep going up. So then they are a prisoner to their job, whether they like it or not. And I'm not just talking about realtors. I'm talking about everybody. And then they have to work. I work because I want to work. It's a whole new ball game when you work because you want to work, not because you have to work. And we all have that opportunity. Listen, money does not discriminate. What happens is we complicate it. And we complicate money by overspending. And money's simple. It's money in, money out. And if you keep more in and you take that and buy assets, then you can have whatever you want. Your future self can be amazing, but you got to get discipline. And discipline is hard. And it's just easier to go eat out instead of eat what we have in the pantry. It's hard. It's easier. It's easier to just buy a Gucci belt now and put it on my credit card than to save up the $300 for the Gucci belt, right?
Yes.
It's easier now to go buy a more expensive house than I really can afford, because now I've got to take that extra $300 I was saving and it has to go towards my house payment instead of towards my future self. There's lots of easy things. And I want to challenge people to do the harder things so you can live like nobody else at a later date.
Right.
Because as we get older, Brad, it gets harder. You don't want to work. You don't have the energy to work 12 to 14-hour days. So if you do it in your 20s and 30s, and that's what I did, then when you get to the best years of your life, when you're way smarter, you could care less what other people think. I mean, there's so many beautiful things that happen with age that I can't even go into all that, because you become so confident that you're like, put me in a room with 20 and 30-year-olds, let my wrinkles shine, because the knowledge that I've got that I need to share with them can make their lives easier.
Yeah, it actually changes their lives with the knowledge that you give them if they follow and implement. Even they don't have to go all the way and do every single thing, but just some of the things. Now, I want to ask you this question because it comes to what is one of the biggest, like right there in front of you, mistakes that you see agents making when it comes to like planning for their future and their retirement? What is the biggest mistake you see them making?
Oh, great question. And the biggest mistake is not funding their retirement, because we are self-employed. And with being self-employed, they don't fund their retirement, nor do they fund their taxes. Because here's the deal. You're self-employed. You've got to set you up 2 separate accounts that you can't touch. Put them in money markets without checks. Don't get checks. Put them in money markets. You need to take 25% off the top. As soon as you get that commission check, take 25% off the top and put that in your tax account so you're not in trouble. Because your first year, back to new agents, the first year you're not paying quarterly taxes, and the second year will be based on what you owe the first year, and you'll start making quarterly tax payments April 15th in the second year. So it's really crucial that you've got the money sitting there and you're not all panicky, because you're not a good real estate agent when you need money. You don't give great advice when you're desperate for a commission. So set yourself up like a business. So that's number one. Right. Number two, you got to set also with that check, put 5%, just 5% of that, and take it over and put this over here in your SEP, and we'll fund your IRA, your SEP IRA, once we get into the new year. So you've got the money there in case you need it. We want to protect your family. That's always most important. And it's sitting there. But if you do not allocate, it will disappear, period.
Now, you brought up, so you have two sacred accounts. One's your retirement account, one's your tax account, and you make them untouchable.
And they're money markets the first year, especially because I don't want your family to suffer when you're starting. This is new. This is something new that you're trying. But most people are used to, they get their check from their business or the company they work for, and they get all of that, right? They don't, but new agents do not understand you have to pay taxes. And welcome to self-employment. You're now paying your self-employment tax. So it is crucial the first year that you set these accounts up and don't touch that money. And they're in money markets. So right now, money markets are drawing really great interest. So, hey, you're making money. I just helped you with a separate passive income that Gucci belt wouldn't buy.
Exactly. So that's a really good point that you have there about the taxes and setting that up. And with that, as that compounds over time and setting up that SEP IRA and setting that up, that compounds over time, and that's how you really grow wealth. And one of the other things that I see is that when you also have like this income and you start to see some success, there's also opportunities that present themselves because you are the person that you are, and you're going out and meeting people that are selling and buying real estate. Are there any opportunities that potentially present themselves where you may end up investing in real estate too?
Absolutely. I used to sell apartments, so I moved towards apartments because I love the apartment industry and I owned apartments. So I would use my commission. You can go in partners with people, on stuff like if you would, let's say that you get calls for listing a house or whatever, and you think, oh, I'd like to buy this house. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the credit worthiness or whatever. I mean, it just depends, maybe you don't, but maybe you call somebody like you, Brad, you're an investor, or you call somebody else and say, hey, I want to be a partner with you. I've got my commission. You can use your commission as a part of the deal. I mean, there's lots there where there is a will, there is a way. Okay. What I have found, when you get creative, I am one of the most creative thinkers you've ever seen. When it comes to what I want, when I want
Yeah.
something, I make it happen. I just opened an insurance company. I just opened a title company. I have the 12 businesses that I own with a high school education. Okay. I am the CEO of Myra Empire with all these companies. And I'm just going to tell you, I laugh when I say that because I don't say that to impress you, but to impress my I did not make the best grades in school. Okay. Smart is not what I am, but I'm going to tell you what I am. I got grit, I got gumption, and I can hire smart people. Okay.
I,
So
I
don't let
I would
those
say this:
things.
you're pretty smart when it comes to this stuff.
Well, but I will tell you now, I have learned it, but I wasn't on the front end, right? But I was just willing to
Mm-hmm.
take the risk. I was just willing to study things, to learn it, but it didn't come
Mm-hmm.
natural. And I want people to know that, because you can have anything you want if you're willing to do what it takes. And delayed gratification, people don't like. We're in a society, we want everything right now. And
Right.
that's just not life, right? But yet people
Mm-mm.
will go to college and go to college for 4, 6, 8 years and then have all this debt to get a job. But yet they won't give us time to teach them how to sell real estate. They think it should happen immediately. It drives me crazy because, first of all, your investment is nominal to be able to make as much money as you want. That investment you made in college, they tell you what you're worth. If you go get a job,
Right.
my mom was a school teacher. The Kentucky school system told her what she was worth. Okay.
Right.
So you have limitations on your earning potential. In real estate, there are no limitations on your earning potential. What are you willing to do? Look what I built, all
Right.
because of real estate. So I just want people to understand that, I mean, you can have whatever you want if you're willing to do it on the front end. And that's where it's important. You set up the right practices, you get the right tools. That's what I love about Keller Williams, because I had to do it at an independent. And I'm just going to tell you, it is hard. I mean, you got to be a Myra Oliver. Okay. But at Keller Williams, you
Yeah.
don't have to be somebody with grit and gumption and an idiot that will fail, 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 fail. Most people quit and go get a job. I had to fail miserably. But the great thing about Keller Williams, we got all the systems. So go plug and play. Go be at our meetings. If you need motivation, show up at the Tuesday office meeting. We will provide you with everything you need. Because if you can't make it in our office, you can't make it in real estate. I mean, I'm just being honest. If you're new, especially,
Yeah.
because we give you everything you need. It's almost too much, you know?
There's definitely
A
a
lot.
plethora of there's a lot of resources that you guys offer, and there's also a different I mean, I'm in and out of a lot of different places, and I will
Right.
say there's a different culture there. There's no one that feels like it's all like, oh, I can't share, I'm
Right.
not going to. Everyone's kind of open,
Yeah.
and they feel, hey, that it's a world of abundance and not a world of
Yes.
scarcity. Even in today's environment where there's less out there, less inventory and that no one's confined and saying, oh, that's mine, I'm scared, I'm scared. They're in a world of abundance and
I
know
love that.
that there's more than enough.
And I
And
love that. And I love that. I mean, I will share everything I got, even with they think they're called competitors, but you know what? And this is why we have the abundance mentality. Me as the leader too, I feel like that I don't have any competitors. You know who's my competitor? I look at her in the mirror every morning. And when you
mhm,
teach real estate agents to feel the same way, because there's plenty of real estate out there for all of us, okay? But here's the deal. If you don't make the calls and you don't hand out the cards and you don't talk to most people, you're not going to win. It doesn't have anything to do with another company, another agent. It has everything to do with you. And I would give all my secrets, so to speak, and traits. I would give anything anybody want to listen, because you know why? Reality, it's the 80-20 rule. 20% are going to do it and they're going to make it in this business. 80% are going to complain about the other 20% and why they can't make it. And it's okay. But it's the 20% that live in abundance that are going to make it. That's why we have an office full of abundance thinkers. So thank you for saying that.
right, right. It is definitely a different culture. And I think that you hammered it home multiple times throughout this, but I wanna ask you this one question and kind of end on this so that we know where, like, if you were brand new starting today, what would be the one thing that you would focus on that would be the most important thing that you would do?
Mindset. You have got to believe it that you can achieve it. Okay. And so you've got to feed your mind. And you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. That's why you need to be in a setting and an environment of positive people, especially when you're new, you're first starting out, right? Because you have got to be around
Hmm.
people that will encourage you, that will feed you with great ideas and what you need to be doing. And then next, get on the database, start calling people, start sharing with people. Everybody you meet needs to know you're in real estate, and then continue to feed your mind, because you're going to have good days, you're going to have bad days. It's just life. And you've got to be like, when you're down, you need to get your butt to the office and be around some positive, upbeat people, because this is
Right,
not easy. It's simple. It's not easy. Okay. The
right,
process is simple. Whoever talks to most people wins the contest, but it's not easy, because you got to keep feeding your brain and motivating yourself. And so I will tell you, that's really the game in life, is about your
hmm,
mindset. And when you get that in place, when you get your mind right and you start feeding yourself, instead of feeding yourself, I can't do this, or negative stuff, you start,
yeah,
I feed myself every morning before we even got on this. I'm a walker. I walk 5 miles every day, and I am feeding myself positive things. Like, I'm looking around and I'm thinking about all the things I'm grateful for. I set myself up and my day up for success. When I was a hairstylist working 14 hours a day, I had on my mirror, "You are a millionaire." And then I brought it down below and I put, "I am a millionaire." And I just fed myself that for 13 years till I became a millionaire. So if you want to be a top
that's
producer, every morning you need to get in that mirror, because there's your competitor. Nobody else is your competitor. Get in that
mhm,
mirror and go, "I am a top producer. I'm going to sell a house today. I'm going to list a house today." And then get out there and take action. There you go,
that
Brad.
is that is amazing. Yep, they say that anything you put after I am is true. So I am a millionaire. I am a top producing agent. I am the
Yes.
best out there. It is
Yep.
whatever you write
And you
behind it.
are the best mortgage guy. Good for you for learning that.
Wha-
Because if you just get in front of that mirror, I am the greatest mortgage guy. You just got to do
Yeah.
it. I mean, honestly, I used to tell myself that, and I was like, I hadn't sold a single house. How can I be the best realtor in town?
Mm.
But you know what? Guess what happened? 5 years later, I
Yep.
became the best individual realtor in Denton, Texas. So
Yeah.
I just think you've got to believe it to achieve it. And I really believe that affirmations are how, I mean, if you want to know my secret, I think that has really put me where I am today, because it'd be real easy for me to waller in negativity. I don't have a college education. I mean, here I am. What's special about, you can do that. And then how does
Right.
that won't get you anything. So
Yeah.
I
Positive
am
mindset.
a millionaire. I am a top producer. You've got to believe it and listen, your whole life will change. If you just change that, your whole life change. I am a great father. I am a great leader. There's
Right.
lots of things that this can change the trajectory of your life. And if you're not happy, in order for things to change, you got to make the changes. And what I found
Yeah.
is until the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change, you won't make changes. And that you will make changes when the pain of staying the same is
Right.
greater. So
Right.
I just tell people, you know what? Try it. What do you got to lose? You're not happy where you are
Right.
now.
Doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt at all to try that. And you'll see what happens if you just start that sentence out, I am, and then finish it from
Yeah.
there. And
Yes.
that'll come true. Well, Myra, it's been great having you here and going through all this stuff. Your tremendous energy, just you put it out there, and everyone should just try to take a little piece of it so that they can feel it and go forward, because that is so amazing. I appreciate you coming on, and it's been amazing having you.
Well, thank you, Brad. Thank you so much for allowing me this opportunity to hopefully make a difference for somebody, right? That's always
Yeah,
my
make an
goal.
impact. Yeah. And you're
Appreciate
making
you.
a huge impact with your book. So it's great. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you,
You get it
Myra.
on Amazon, but I got to tell you, if
Yeah.
you don't like a Southern accent, don't get it on Audible, because I read it. There you go.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, I'll have to get the Audible on that, because I'd love to hear you read it. I like Audibles way better than the books. And your Audible wasn't out, so I got the book and read the book, but I'm gonna go download the Audible, because I'd much rather have Audible. I have like all kinds of Audible, so I appreciate that.
Well, good. I hope you enjoy it.
I appreciate you. Thank you, Myra, and I'll be talking to you soon.